Hey guys, it's Tom back with another video. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you've not watched that, I talked about travelling around North America for 9 weeks doing 15 states. Talked about travelling around Thailand, Vietnam, interrailing around Europe, going back to America, and basically I just talked about how I've travelled 20 countries in 2 years. Travel, which places I've visited, what was my favourite of each country, etc. If you enjoy this video, if you do, then please click that like button and the subscribe button. Anyway, we will talk about my Australia living now. So, Australia, never been before. And as a Brit, you can get the work holiday visa really easily there. I applied, got it within 1 minute. Nice and easy. I actually got that before I interrailed around Europe. So I had the pass since February. But when I entered Australia, it counts from a year from when you enter Australia. Now, if I went tomorrow, we get 3 years as Brits automatically. As long as you're under 36, you get 3 years automatically. So you can live in Australia for 3 years. I did a year because it is far from home. You know, I didn't see, apart from my younger brother, I didn't see my mum, dad, my older brother, like my friends from England. Didn't see them for a whole year. So obviously I missed birthdays, Christmas, and a lot of stuff. But anyway, you can do it. It's nice and easy. I can reply to your comments down below if you've got any questions about how to do it, but just go on the Gov website. Nice and easy. I think it's about how much did it cost? 150 quid, something around that. As I said, I did mine over a year ago, so that might be wrong, and that can get you any job. You can live anywhere, and it's nice and easy. The only restriction on mine, you could have one job for 6 months. So you could have the same job for 6 months, then you need to move on. But we will start with where I spent, not on Google, where I spent a lot of my time is I flew to Melbourne. So I'm in Leicester, so I got the bus to Gatwick, flew from Gatwick, got a stopover in Bangkok for like an hour or two, and then landed in Melbourne. Never been to Melbourne before. Obviously I've never been to Australia, and it was beautiful. I spent 6 months in Melbourne, a long old time, and I'm just going to talk about my favourite bits. The weather, it's not Australia weather. So I got there in, when did I get there? June, end of June. I actually flew out on my older brother's birthday. So I got there June the 29th, and that's their winter. And when I say it's Australian winter in Melbourne, it was like 10 degrees, which is obviously warmer than UK winter, but you're in Australia, 10 degrees is bloody cold, and it was always windy, it was always foggy. Well, for the first 4 months it was. So I'm going to look past the weather, because it was, if any Brits have been there, you know what I mean. It's a foggy old place. But anyway, so I was living in Melbourne. Most of the time I was living in this hostel called Landing Pads, which is like a work hostel. So basically everyone's there for a long amount of time, all on the work holiday visa, trying to get jobs and whatever they can sort of get. So I was probably in Melbourne for about a month before I got a job, and then started working at Novotel, which is a hotel. There's one in Leicester. I think they're worldwide. There's some in Japan, China, all over Australia. Novotel is where I worked. At first I was a guest service agent, so reception, checking guests in, checking guests out, nice and simple. And then I was also doing concierge there because I couldn't get the hours in reception, so they said, Tom, can you drive a car? Yes, I can. Let me drive some cars. And the cars, everyone in Australia is either rich or just drives beautiful cars. I was driving G-Wagons, so many Teslas, like every other car's a Tesla over there, like 4x4 BMWs, Porsches, you name it, apart from like Ferraris and that, I've drove it. Like, they were beautiful cars, really, really nice. You just didn't want to scratch them when reversing into the car lift to go up the floors. So I worked at Novotel. That was, I think that worked out for about 26 Aussie dollars an hour, so about 13 quid, so nothing special. But basically there's two types of employment. So casual, which is where you won't get any holiday pay. So if I took tomorrow off, like, I wouldn't get paid for it. But because you don't get paid for it, you don't get paid for sick pay, you get slightly few more dollars an hour, so probably $3-4. So it's about 1 Aussie dollar is about 50p. So when I'm just half it, when I'm talking about Aussie dollars, and if I forget to convert it to UK, it's about half of it. But the good thing is, so the pay wasn't like 13 quid an hour, whatever, it's okay. The good thing is, in Australia, it's on the weekends you have to get paid more money. So I think Saturday's minimum wage was like $28, so 14 quid an hour, and then Sundays was $32, so 16 quid an hour. Easy. You know, it was quite a stressful job, particularly the car. when I was doing the concierge, because you've got like 4 cars lined up. You're the only ones parking these cars. It can take like 5-10 minutes to park at a time, and you've got people waiting. People just leave their cars in the middle, and obviously you've got deliveries and stuff. So it was a bit annoying at the time, but it was an okay job. The other job that I got, so when I was living at landing pads, I hosted a trivia night for just me and my friends. I've never been to a trivia, never done one in my life, but anyway, I just did one for a laugh. And the hostel manager, he was like, "Oh, Tom, do you actually want to do it at my bar each week and get paid for it?" So I thought, yes, absolutely. So I was on $300 for 3 hours work, so 150 quid for 3 hours work, and I got free beer all night just to entertain the crowd. And there's me as a trivia host. Can you see? Yeah, I've got a horse mask on. I know why. I absolutely have no idea. We'll find a normal one of me hosting. But that was, I'll call it a job. Look, there we go. There's a normal one. Me with a little microphone. We'll call it a job. It wasn't a job. It was just me entertaining a load of people at a bar each week. Question number 2, please. And I'll just make up questions. So now I've got 13 weeks worth of questions on my phone of stuff that I make up. We had music rounds, general knowledge, football rounds, like travel, history, like just stupid, like loads of different rounds, and I'd just make them questions up each week and do that. So that was another job that I did. I also worked behind the bar at the horse racing at Caulfield Racecourse, and that was casual, so that was just they text you, can you work, yes, no, and then you accept. That pay was really good, and I actually met an Aussie girl called Danny there, and yeah, that was an easy job. That was good fun. So all in all, I had 4 jobs in Melbourne. I lived there for 6 months. And the reason I had so many jobs, because sometimes at Novotel I'd get 30, 40 hours, nice. Sometimes I get 10. And Australia's an expensive place for food and everything. Obviously living, doing the laundry, your Aussie phone bill. Like, there's no help from the UK. You are really out there on your own. So I was using Indeed and Seek to apply for jobs. So just spam apply, go into these places, into the cafes, into the hotels, sell yourself, because they're going to get so many resumes from Brits, French people, German people, Italian, Spanish, whatever. They're all in the same boat, so just sell yourself in person. Hi, I'm Tom, I can work right away, I've got a driving licence, please can I have a job, just help me out. Anyway, look, I've blabbered on about Melbourne 8 minutes. I've got so many tabs to get through. Anyway, so I'm just going to talk about some of my favourite road trips that I did around Melbourne. Before we are, this was my first Polaroid, the first day I got to Melbourne. This is on Hosier Street, so it's a load of graffiti. Come on, focus. You probably can't see it. Look how many layers I've got on. It was bloody cold. But anyway, so I'm going to talk about some of my favourite trips. So I did Great Ocean Road a few weeks in. That's world famous. Some of you might have heard of Great Ocean Road, but these are the 12 apostles. Ironic, because there's only about 6 now. So these are the apostles, these are the water. It's only about 6 now, but it was beautiful. Obviously drove across here. There's the world famous like Great Ocean Road sign, which is pretty sick. And there was just a few of us just went out for the weekend away. But look at the colour of this ocean. Absolutely beautiful, but typical Melbourne. The second day, it was raining sideways. So the weather wasn't as amazing as this, but it is still absolutely beautiful to see. My favourite hike that I did in Australia, in Melbourne, sorry, was the Grampians National Park. Gives you a bit of the Grand Canyon vibes that I was discussing last week. But look at this. This is absolutely beautiful. So we did like a 2-hour hike, and we overlooked this lake here. I don't know if you can see by my cursor. So we actually did this one. It only took about an hour up, hour down. It was beautiful, and we had a lovely day. It was a really nice day. That was about 3 hours from Melbourne. So normally you just drive up, get a hire car because they're dead cheap there, Airbnb overnight, do a hike, and then come home. So that was absolutely stunning. You can see really good sunsets and just so many good photos. And we didn't see any of this cool wildlife, unfortunately. Did see a shit ton of kangaroos. Melbourne, once you get out, more like the state of Victoria, once you get out of Melbourne, kangaroos galore. They're absolutely bloody everywhere. We did Wilson's prom. Again, we did a weekend away, and by this point, my brother had arrived in Australia. So he's currently in Australia in Perth now. So he got there 16th of December. I got there 28th of June. So just under 6 months after, and we went to Wilson's prom, which, again, you can see, absolutely beautiful. Me and my brother, and along with quite a few friends, went to Wilson's prom for a long weekend. As you can see, absolutely beautiful scenery, lovely blue ocean, absolutely gorgeous. Went there, saw these amazing sunsets, and it was just a vibe, an absolute vibe. Again, a few hours out of Melbourne, so you get a hire car, get an Airbnb with your mates, and just go exploring. Absolutely stunning. And then Danny, who I met at the horse racing, took me and my brother to Mornington Peninsula for the day. Only about an hour and a half outside of Melbourne, but again, so much views. You've got the Cape Schnack Lighthouse, definitely pronounced that absolutely wrong, but again, lots of wildlife, lots of views, lots of beautiful beaches along there. And here's a Polaroid of me and my brother on Christmas Day. That was in Melbourne. Ignore the man spread, it's Christmas. And then 4 days later, I did fly out to New Zealand and travelled around New Zealand for a month with someone I met at Novotel. I'll discuss that in a different video, because if I do this in this one, it'll be about an hour long. So that was the Melbourne part of the video. I say I was there for 6 months. Met so many great people who I still am in contact with now. And it is a great city, but it is very cold. In the summer, it's amazing. There's a bar on every corner. Pints are about £8 a pint. It's a pricey old place for a pint. So most people drinking Goon, which is 5 litres of wine for like £4 or £5. The hangover from hell, but it's cheap. Gets you drunk very cheap.